Chapter 2, Green Hill. Ugh, why does Celestia's sun have to be so intense right now? Rainbow Dash groaned in her sleep, leaving a hoof in the air before snuggling back in her cloud. At least, she thought it was a cloud. She was actually landing on a grass-covered hill, the leaves waving softly as a light breeze blew through Rainbow Dash's mane. Slowly, the gears in the Rainbow Mane Pegasus' head started to turn as she slowly woke up, beginning to remember what had happened before she blacked out. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open and she shot up, screaming, "Twilight!" She quickly looked from side to side, only to realize she was all alone. Coming down slightly, she looked around again and asked, "What the he? Where am I?" Around her, Rainbow Dash could see palm trees, several different types of flowers, including fully grown sunflowers, dumb poles, stone carvings, and pieces of land that had checkerboard patterns on their side. Looking down at the grass, she realized it alternated between light green and dark green, almost like a stripe pattern. Looking up again, she could see land masses from farther away in some directions, some of them even having waterfalls rolling down on them. She knew all these things were, yet never seen any of them before, at least not anywhere she had been in Equestria. Rainbow spoke. "Okay, this is seriously weird. Where am I? Where..." She stopped herself in mid-sentence, then remembered the creature that appeared above Ponyville. She growled, "That thing took my friends. It straightened me here, wherever here is." She spread her wings and flapped them, lifting off the ground. As she hovered on the ground, she said, "I'm not going to sit around here. No matter what it takes, I'm going to find that thing, get my friends back, or my name is Rainbow Danger Dash." She then took to the skies, flying above the Green Hill area as she tried to get her bearings. Sonic's eyes opened to a world of white. "You have met a grim fate, haven't you?" To his right, all he could make out was his right hand. Everything else was complete white. He took his fingers a bit, began to move his head, as she shook off the last bits of unconsciousness. After a minute, he pressed both his hands against the ground, pushing himself off the ground, shifted his weight to his left foot and right knee, holding himself as he held his right hand to his head. "Ugh, where am I?" he asked. Shaking his head, he stood up and looked to his left, then to his right. He could still see nothing but white. Turning around, he finally saw something interesting. "Is that a tree house?" he guessed as he looked at it. The tree in question, aside from appearing to be mostly white and gray, had multiple windows sticking out of it that appeared to be an observation deck at the very top of the tree. A balcony, some kind of sign in front of it. Nodding to himself, he ran towards the tree, coming to a stop in front of it. Looking at the sign next to him, he muttered, "Ponyville Library. Huh, that's interesting. Never heard of a place called Ponyville before." Looking towards the front door of the tree, he noticed it had a lit candle carved into the middle of it, above two door handles. Shrugging to himself, he raised his right hand out towards the left handle and wrapped his fingers around it. He then gave it a tug, the door easily pulling open. Stepping inside the tree, Sonic saw that the sign was absolutely correct. In the middle of the room was a round table, with a bust sitting atop a raised spot in the middle. But lining the walls were bookcases full of books. A library inside a tree. "Interesting concept," he murmured. Then he shook his head. "This isn't the time to be reading. My friends have been kidnapped by some weird monster. I gotta find them and help them." The blue hedgehog turned to leave and was about to step outside when he thought he heard something. Turning back towards the interior of the library, he muttered, "What was that?" It sounded faint, but... Closing his eyes, he focused on the library's air for a moment, listening. After a moment, he heard it again. A kind of pulsing sound. Opening his eyes and stepping slowly across the library floor, he kept his ears open, continuing to listen for the sound as he searched for its source. His ears eventually led him to appear what to be the library's basement. Pushing the door open, he stepped through it and looked down. Down below, he could see to be what appeared to be a white portal nestled against one of the walls. The portal was softly pulsing as it floated there. "Oh, I get it. We're in cyberspace." Sonic quickly ran down the winding staircase to the ground below, walked out to the portal. Peering inside of it, he could see the checkerboard patterns with green grass on top of them, palm trees, flowers, and blue skies. That place looks kind of familiar. I gotta check this out," he said, before leaping headfirst into the portal. Sonic's feet soon touched solid ground and he looked around. The portal had transported him to a place it had shown him. He was now standing on a grass-covered, checkerboard-patterned hill, under a blue, mostly cloudless sky. Yeah, this place definitely feels nostalgic. Guess it couldn't hurt to look around, he mused. It took off, running atop a hill, over a bridge, and, after a bit more running, down a slope and through a shuttle loop. As he continued past the shuttle loop, he saw something red up ahead and looked at it carefully. Is that a muddle bug? I thought Eggman stopped using that particular badnik a long time ago, he muttered. His suspicions were confirmed when, upon getting closer, the ladybug-like robot tried to take a swipe out with one of its scythes. Sonic easily looked over and came to a stop before calling back. Now that was rude! I wasn't planning on hitting you, but now! Taking a quick look around, he saw there were several more bugs around him, all of them pointing their scythes out threateningly. Sonic just smirked. Oh, it's a Bug Jamboree, huh? Hate to break it to you guys, but the party's over. One of the bugs came rushing at him, but Sonic easily responded by kicking it in the face with his right foot, breaking it apart and sending its scrap metal flying. Another rushed down behind, only for Sonic to do a backflip over it, and then strike it with a homing attack all in the same jump. The rest of them came after him, but they fared no better, and soon Sonic was standing next to a pile of Motobug remains. He grinned as he continued on his way. Man, I forgot what pushover those things are. Felt good all the same, though. A short while later, Sonic was exploring the Green Hill Zone, going up and down hills, stomping on old badniks all the while. As he exited the cave, he sighed to himself, this feels great. Totally remember this feeling. After running through a corkscrew loop, he looked to the side and muttered, I still have no idea what's going on here. What was that monster earlier? Where are my friends? And what's going on here? Sonic kept looking off to the side as he ran. Unfortunately, he wasn't paying attention to the path in front of him. This meant he didn't see the rainbow blur in front of him, rapidly getting closer and closer to him. All of a sudden, the blue blur collided with the rainbow blur, both blurs striking together for a moment as both of their tailwinds blew past them. They came apart as the wind died down. Sonic falling down on his back, while a familiar Sonic Pegasus mare landed on her back, wings outstretched. Sonic sat up after a moment and rubbed his head, growling, Ow! What hit me? You heard a female voice said, That's what I want to know. Whatever that was, it had to be going like, well, me. Sonic looked up at that, and looked on in surprise as the rainbow-maned pony sat up on her haunches, pressing her right hoof against her forehead as her wings swept down to her side. Sonic leapt to his feet and, after taking a moment to make sure he was seeing things right, said, Whoa, never seen a pony with wings before. While rubbing her forehead with her hoof, Rainbow Dash muttered, This guy's never seen a Pegasus pony before? What cave has he been living in? She soon lowered her hoof and looked up at Sonic, her eyes going wide at the sight of him. They quickly narrowed, however, as he lifted her hooves, raising her knees as she glared at the blue hedgehog bared to teeth. Sonic held up his hands. Whoa, take it easy. I'm not going to hurt you. Rainbow Dash growled. You expect me to believe that, especially after you got in my way just now? I don't even know what you are. I mean, I'm not exactly the pony you to talk to when it comes to animals, but I can usually recognize them when I see them. Sonic jabbed the thumb towards himself as he said, Hey, I happen to be a hedgehog lady. And I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention and I ran into you, but clearly you weren't looking forward either, or it wouldn't have happened. Rainbow Dash stood up straight, but continued to glare at Sonic as she said, Okay, maybe I was going off to the side just a tiny bit, but that doesn't matter. Every pony I know knows where to watch where I'm going, so why don't you? Sonic shrugged. I don't even know you. Rainbow Dash held up her head as she said, Well then, there's your problem right there. I don't know where you come from, but you clearly don't hear the news about it, or else you know. Sonic suddenly noticed something behind and above Rainbow Dash and cut her off, running towards her while exclaiming, Look out! Before Rainbow Dash could say anything more, Sonic grabbed her and dashed forward. The sound of something exploding against the ground, filling the air. Rainbow Dash looked at Sonic as he came to a stop and stared down at her rump. Hey, what's the big deal? She demanded. Rainbow Dash looked back. Sonic looked back where she had been standing and pointed. She followed his finger and realized there were three burnt patches of grass right where she had been standing. Oh, she muttered. Looking back at Sonic, she asked, What did that? Turning his head back around, looking up, the blue hedgehog replied, Buzz bombers. Rainbow Dash followed his gaze and saw three beak-like robots hovering in the air. Looking down at the two of them. As he looked, The three bandits charged up their lasers and their stingers and fired at him. Rainbow Dash stood up as both she and Sonic leapt back to avoid the shots, both of them sliding a bit back across the grass when they landed. Looking back up at the buzz bombers, they saw the robots beginning to fly towards them while charging their lasers again. Clenching his fist, Sonic said, "I've got this." He led them towards the buzz bombers before 3 consecutive homing attacks, taking them all out. The Hedgehog landed as lightly as a feather on the grass, while the remains of the Batniks landed a little more noisily. Turning back to Rainbow Dash, he saw the Pegasus was staring at him, her mouth hanging wide open. As he closed it and admitted, "That was actually pretty cool." Sonic replied, "Oh, thanks. What were you saying before? What am I supposed to know?" Dash looked down a second before she remembered their conversation. She spoke, "Oh, right. Well, what I was saying was, what I was going to say is, my name's Rainbow Dash," she said lamely, her anger and consciousness having mellowed down in the past minute or so. Sonic nodded, "Cool. Nice to meet you, Rainbow Dash. Where are you from?" Sonic Pegasus replied, "I was born in Cloudsdale, like most of the other Pegasus ponies, but I live in Ponyville now." Sonic held a hand to his chin and said, "Ponyville? I got here through some kind of portal in a place called the Ponyville Library. Yeah, it was right next to a cyberspace portal." "You're just gonna keep those frontier references going, aren't you?"
"Yes, I am."
Rainbow Dash gasped. "The Ponyville Library? Was it in the hollow tree?" Sonic saw it. He flew up to him and asked, "How's Ponyville doing? I never leave it hanging, but I don't know where we are." Sonic replied, "I don't know. All I could see was the tree and the library was in. Everything else was completely white. I couldn't see the town anywhere." Rainbow Dash dropped down to the ground and groaned. "Oh no. First I can't see my friends are being pulled up by some creepy monster that makes portals and nail." Sonic cut off. "Wait a second. Your friends got cut and taken by a monster?" Rainbow Dash nodded, so he asked, "Did it have a really creepy looking smile, narrowed eyes, and the rest of it was being covered up by something?" Rainbow Dash nodded. "Yeah, how did you know?" Sonic answered, "My friends were taken by that thing." Rainbow Dash gasped, "No way." Sonic nodded, "Yeah." After a moment he spoke, "Listen, Rainbow, we may not know what's going on, but clearly we're both looking for the same thing. Why do you see we work together? At least until we have a better idea what's going on." Rainbow Dash looked down, thought for a moment. Then she stood up and said, "Okay, we'll stick together, Sonic grinned sheepishly. "Oh yeah, never introduced myself, did I?" He then said, "I'm Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog." Rainbow Dash nodded. "Okay then, Sonic. You can count on me to stick with you." She then bumped her huff against his fist. Afterwards, she asked, "So, where were you going before we ran into each other?" Sonic pointed at something behind him and said, "I was just following this path, seeing where it goes, Lowering his hand, he said, "Why, were you checking something else out?" Rainbow replied, "Not really. Been trying to figure out where I am since I woke up." Sonic nodded. "Well, why don't we see where this goes first?" Rainbow Dash replied, "Okay, but I got one question for you, Sonic. We're going to stick together. Do you think you can keep up with me?" Sonic smirked. "Oh, I'm sure I can keep up just fine. The real question is, can you keep up with me?" Rainbow Dash smirked and spread her wings, flapping him so she could cover a short distance above Sonic's head. She then smirked. "Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we?" Sonic nodded, turned around, getting to his pre-running position. He took off, Rainbow Dash flying off beside him. Rainbow Dash watched Sonic out of the corner of her eye as they continued through the Green Hill Zone, noticing how fast his laces moved. She spoke, "So I guess you're pretty fast, Sonic. Is it as fast as you could go?" Sonic glanced at her and said, "No. I could go much faster if I want to." Turning his attention back to the path, he grinned. "In fact, if you want to see how much faster I could go, I got a great chance to show you." Rainbow Dash followed his gaze and her eyes widened. They were approaching a soul loop, this one much bigger than the first Sonic had run through. "You're not gonna go through that, are you?" she asked. Sonic just grinned at her and pulled away from her, accelerating. The Sonic Pegasus could only watch as he started up the loop, his feet never slowing as he went completely vertical to the ground, went upside down as he reached the middle of the loop. Still keeping up the pace, he quickly finished the second half of the loop, sliding to a stop once he was back on the horizontal surface again. Rainbow Dash flew up seconds later and said, "Wow, okay, I admit, you really are fast." Sonic smiled. "Thanks. Same to you, Dash." Rainbow Dash glanced behind Sonic, noticing her Batnik. She pointed, "Hey, Sonic, what's that thing?" Sonic turned to look where she was pointing, seeing a red crab robot scuttling across the ground. "Looks like a crab meat," he said. Rainbow Dash laughed. "Crab meat? Is that his name? Seriously? Sonic shrugged. Hey, don't look at me. As the genius who created it. Looking back at Crab Meat, he asked, you want to take this one out? Rainbow Dash blinked. Huh? Sonic smiled. Sure, just give it a good knock. Or that'll be a good buck in your case. Rainbow glanced back at the metal crab. Finally seemed to notice him. Said, yeah, I don't know. Slowly, Crab Meat got his pincers and fired 2 missiles at him. Both Sonic and Rainbow looked out of the way after landing. Nightmare growled, oh, you are so gonna pay for that! Before the crab could even react, Rainbow flew up to it and, one swift motion, turned around and bucked it with her hind legs, sending it flying to a hill where it could smash it to pieces. Sonic clapped his hands and held up a thumb as he said, nice! I hope that's not your only trick. Rainbow Dash grinned, oh, you don't play your tricks. Well, okay, some of them are just flying stunts, but... Sonic waved his hand. No biggie, I like pulling off aerial stunts myself. Anyway, let's keep moving. Rainbow nodded and continued their way. A short while later, the Blue Hedgehog and Cyan Pegasus were coming up to a dead end, after avoiding being crunched under a giant falling totem pole. Rainbow Dash laughed. That was fun. Never get to go out for something under that big before. Sonic grinned. Yeah, that was tight. Alright. Now, looking ahead, he saw 2 figures up ahead of the dead end, standing there. Hey, who's there? He wondered. Rainbow Dash turning her look ahead. As they got closer to the dead end, the 2 figures became closer to the 2 speedsters. Rainbow's eyes widened. That's... They both came to a stop as they reached the dead end area. Both of them were running over to the figures a moment later. Tails! Twilight! Both of the two-tailed fox and Lavender Unicorn were seemingly frozen. Both of them completely white and their faces stuck in a look of shock or fear. Sonic snapped his fingers in front of Tails' face, while Rainbow ran a hoof back in front of Twilight's face. Neither accident had any effect on the 2 frozen friends. Rainbow looked at Sonic and asked, what's happened to him? Sonic looked at her and shrugged, I have no idea. Glancing back at Tails, he said, they're completely white, just like the library. Is it because of that monster? He placed his hand on Tails' shoulder and gave him a shake. As he did, something rolled out from behind the fox and Sonic quickly noticed it. What's this? He bent down and picked it up. Rainbow Dash looked back at him and asked, what's that? Sonic held the object up, light from the sun reflecting its polished surface. He spoke, it's a ring. I wonder. Looking at it for another moment, he tossed it up once and tossed it forward, the ring flipping over in midair during a second toss. Suddenly, with a vroom, the ring became much bigger, and a simmering surface appeared in its hole. Whoa, how did you do that? Rainbow asked. It's a warp ring. These things can be used to travel long distances, or get otherwise unreasonable occasions. Luckily for us, this one's been charged, Sonic replied. Walking behind Tails, he placed his hands under the fox's arms and said, come on, we can use this to get back to the Ponyfield Library. Could be a good place to leave both Tails and, Twilight, until we can figure out how to get back to normal. Rainbow nodded, grabbed Twilight with her hose, pulling her towards the warp ring, while Sonic did the same with Tails. The portal within the ring closed as they both stepped through it. The ring fired slowly afterwards.